America's Future in New York City.
Yeah, Dana!
Special thank you to Silicon Harlem, Clayton Baker. Thank you so much for this space. It's amazing. Thank you for having us. Today we're
Did you say Clayton Bakery?
Barkers.
Like Austin Banks.
It's got the bugs. America's Future, our mission is to foster the next generation of America's leaders. This community here is essential for all of us to come together and understand the mission of America, what we stand for democratically, and also the role that technology plays in that. The future is technology, and we have to understand how to build businesses within it and how technology is going to shape the future of not only entrepreneurs, but politics as a whole. And now I'm going to turn it over, you two, introduce you? Yes. I'm going to turn it over to Larry, our moderator, and Mike.
BLEXIT.
Oh yes, and special thank you to BLEXIT for partnering with us.
So Deanna's first, I think.
Thank you, Dana.
Beautiful.
I remember the journey.
How did you forget?
Thank you, Dana. She hosts a lot of these events in the city, and she deals with a lot of people, so you have to excuse her. Venues big and small and beyond. So I'm Dion Powell, the Assistant State Director of BLEXITNY, New York.
Yeah.
And we are so proud to be co-sponsors of the event. Some of our members are here today.
Love it.
We also sponsored some purchase of the book for this fine gentleman here, Mr. Holland, Brother Holland. So I'm going to read you our mission statement at BLEXIT.com. BLEXIT's mission is to flip the script surrounding minority communities with a particular focus on Black Americans, to create a world where Black Americans see themselves as the arbiters of their own destiny. We aim to achieve this monumental goal with the following. 1, advocating for school choice and alternative education opportunities for America's low-income and minority children. 2, supporting and strengthening their nuclear family by providing resources and programs that promote family unity. 3, why we're here today. Champion entrepreneurship and free enterprise as keys to establishing escaping government dependency and poverty. 4, influencing culture by mobilizing individuals across America to spark conversations rooted in personal responsibility and ability to achieve the American dream. BLEXIT also values free markets, economic independence, religious freedom, and patriotism. In short, faith, family, freedom. We are powered by a turning point in the second.
Wow.
Thank you very much, Dion. But before we get started, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Banks to tell us a little bit about the work they do here at Silicon Harlem. This is an amazing space. We're very happy to be here. It's a total honor. So this is very cool stuff. So I'm going to give it to Mr. Banks.
Thank you, Larry. I'll be very quick. Only 20 minutes. I just want to say that, first of all, thanks for being here. Everyone here, thank you, Larry, for the whole team here. What I'm very proud of is Silicon Harlem is that there's 3 things that I really love. If you notice, you're on the front and the back, it's all accessible. Doesn't matter what the issue is somebody may have, anyone can come into this place.
Awesome.
You're in a wheelchair, it doesn't matter. So I was very, very clear that I wanted to have accessibility. Number 2 is, it's in Harlem. So I love Harlem. And one of the things I found in Harlem, and I've been all over the place, been all over the world. But when I looked in Harlem, I realized from a technology perspective, I found myself always downtown. And so I wanted to create a space where kids from the Bronx and every borough, but certainly Bronx and Harlem, get access to this stuff. And before you leave, look at everything here. This kind of a machine right here, they've never seen anyone. I think maybe some of you never really seen that kind of thing. The game systems that I have, the collaborative tables that are extraordinary. All types of, by the way, there's a robot right there.
Yeah, well, that's pretty cool.
Hey, Timmy, tell us a joke.
Why are robots so shy? Because they have hardware and software, but no underwear.
Hello! The kids love this, and why I like talking about that is because we got a kid here, we also take a lot of kids that have different issues and things of that nature, and there was a kid that had a very dramatic had all types of issues, but one of them was stuttering. And as you know, when you talk to somebody with that stutter, you're always kind of, well, you know. The robot was just like, okay, what? And that kid, his whole life changed. The robot changed his life. And so that's what I'm doing every day, is I'm trying to make sure I get as many people. I'm good, right? I got rich a long time ago. So my job is to get as much impact I can make in this community and communities around this country. Because as we've heard already, technology is definitely a big part of our future. And we don't want anybody to fall behind. So I'm very, very happy to have you guys here. Enjoy the space. If you have cousins and kids and grandkids and nephews and grandma and grandpa, bring them here. I guarantee you they will be learn something very cool. All right? Thank you very much.
Big round of applause for Mr. Banks. Thank you for having us here. I think we're going to be back a lot. So thank you. Really, it's a great honor. So, they introduced me, but I'm going to introduce myself again. Larry Gillheeney, Northeast Director for America's Future. As Dana said, we build the next generation of Liberty's leaders by working with awesome organizations here in New York City. So I'm Northeast guy, so Maine down to Delaware, out to New Jersey, I'm all over the place, but I'm always happiest when I'm in New York. So really glad to be here, right? So I've introduced myself, but I always find when we're doing a panel that it's best to let the panelists introduce themselves. So just write down the line, introduce yourselves, and Mike prepared some awesome questions for me. Say who you are, what you do, give a little pitch, 3 sentences max, but I'm not going to hold you to it.
Thank you so much, Larry, and it's really special for me to be here because I'm a Harlem guy for over 40 years, living and working in Harlem. My name is Joe Holland. I wear a number of hats, but I want to just introduce myself by talking about my professional affiliations as an attorney and as an ordained minister, but it led to my entrepreneurial work as a businessman and as a writer. And so I'm going to be saying some more about that as we go through the presentation, but I am really inspired by this time here being able to come together with all of you and share about what it means to take entrepreneurial vision and make it a reality.
Wow. Wow, that's great. Tough act to follow right there.
Am I up to the task?
I think he is.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Joe. It's great to meet you. It's great to be here. I've had so many inspiring conversations just before this even starts, so I'm really glad to be here. I'm David Weiss. I'm the founder of bwords.com. We are a content strategy agency that produces engaging content for high-tech, innovative companies that want to connect with their audience and grow their business. Do that from my basis of being a writer. That's what I'm particularly good at. I've also co-founded Sonic Scoop. Go to sonicscoop.com. You'll see we're a media company and website that covers music and sound production.
Very nice.
Good evening, my name is Mike Reyes. I'm the founder of Permit. What we're looking to do is give citizens 24/7 access to their health records and the ability to monetize the records. What that means is that you take out your phone, go to any hospital, dental office, or clinic in America. With biometric scanning, a QR code will pop up. That means your face recognition or fingerprint. With that QR code, you can scan into any hospital system. They'll be able to see past medical data. They cannot edit any past medical data, but they can add future medical data for future visits. On top of that, I'm also in another life for Apple as a crypto journalist and as the founder of World Blockchain Capital, a podcast that focuses on blockchain specifically in Black and minority communities.
Super impressive panel, folks. Super impressive panel. So the next question that Mike prepared for me, because he did all the work for this, and anybody did the work. So, why entrepreneurship over a 9-to-5 job? What are some benefits and disadvantages? How can the disadvantages be rectified throughout the course of the business?
When you have an entrepreneurial vision, it's really important to strike the balance between vision and reality. And I'll go back to a phase in my life. You know, I was blessed to have an Ivy League education. I finished Harvard Law School. I had a corporate law firm job, but God placed it on my heart to come to Harlem and make a difference in the community. And so when I arrived here in the 1980s, Harlem was a much different place than it is now. We didn't have Silicon Harlem around back then, but it was about understanding what it meant to be an entrepreneur. And so I didn't have the convenience or the luxury or the support of a 9-to-5 job. I learned the hard way about hanging out the proverbial shingle, first as a lawyer, and then I went into small business. I opened up the first Ben & Jerry's on 125th Street in a minority community. I brought an American Express travel office, the first one in a minority community. I also brought the body shop to 125th Street. This was all trailblazing work, and the important thing is what I call the cash flow dynamic. You have to understand that yes, it takes money, it takes cash flow to live, but as an entrepreneur, you have to have that discipline as an individual to say, okay, if I'm going to do this and not have the security and cash flow of a 9-to-5, I've got to be disciplined about my lifestyle, about my budget. You know, I can't be traveling all over the world. You know, I'm going to have to make sure I pay attention to what I'm spending, how much I'm spending, what I'm spending it on. And that was a very important lesson that I learned the hard way, but that's a message particularly for our young people, that we need to make sure they understand that being an entrepreneur is not just about the business end. The business end is important, but the difference between an entrepreneur and a 9-to-5 job is you also have to have that discipline as a person so that the cash flow dynamic can be managed in the right way.
How do you think you find that discipline, right?
I grew up, there are a couple of things here. I mean, I grew up as an athlete. I was a football player, All-American high school and college, and so I learned a lot of discipline on the sports field, but I'm also a man of God, and I also learned the discipline, what I call through spiritual regimen.
Awesome.
Fasting and praying and meditating on God's word, and that's something that I learned to do every day, taught me discipline that I was able to bring into my entrepreneurial work.
Beautiful stuff. Yeah.
Thanks. Those are tremendous achievements. It's amazing to hear about that. For me, entrepreneurship probably was something that I was destined to do because it was ingrained in me from such an early age. But growing up in Michigan, my father was a physician. Everyone else, all the other doctors he knew, worked in hospitals. He did that for a time, but he didn't like that. He started to say that it was very important for him to start his own private practice. And he would say, they can hire you, they can fire you. And for better or for worse, that was ingrained in me at an early age. Growing up, then I wanted to move to New York City. I got to do it. And I was very fortunate that I knew from a young age something else, is that I have a talent, and which is writing. I was telling Whitley here today. She was like, "How do you know that that's what you're talented at?" And there are other things that I do that I love to do that don't feel as easy, don't feel as good. So I was able to compare that. That's playing the drums. I played the drums for a long time. I'm an okay drummer, but much better writer, and I know how that feels. So as an entrepreneur, I was able to leverage that, take what I knew I was good at, and get the validation from other people, from other businesses, that, yeah, not only do we think you're good at it, we're willing to pay you for it. and start to grow that into a business model. It's even better when you can see if it will scale. That's why I went into a media company from just being a content strategy practice that was me, and look for the element that will make this a scalable business.
Love it.
Yeah, it's hard to scale a media company too, it's hard to scale without a great team. If you can find great teammates, that's a big part of being an entrepreneur. It's not just you, but who's really smart in your network that can be with you and help you to be a force multiplier in spreading the word about what you do. So those are all elements of entrepreneurship.
Very cool.
Well, I'm not going to be as eloquent as you guys, but what I can say is I tried corporate America, I tried teaching, I tried working for the government, and I realized something: I'm too lazy to work 40 years. So entrepreneurship is giving me the ability to try to see if I can do that in 10 years versus like 20 or 30 years, and it's a rough life because sometimes you don't know where your next check's coming from, or you have to really motivate yourself. You have to wake up in the morning, sometimes I go to sleep thinking about work, but I prefer this life, like my brother says, I'd rather be a 24/7 hustler than working to help somebody else get rich. That's why I'm an entrepreneur.
Mike, we're gonna keep the microphone with you. What was the first step in formulating your idea?
Wow, these are questions that I made, huh?
Oh yeah, you better be able to answer these, right? You did.
Yeah, so the first step in formulating my idea was that I basically met Dave Weiss a few years ago at a conference, so it was a mini conference in Harlem actually, talking about Bitcoin, and I started thinking to myself, okay, so we're having a transition of from Obamacare to maybe Trump getting rid of the situation, right, the healthcare situation, citizens free healthcare. So I thought maybe we could use blockchain cryptocurrency to do this. So I went to several organizations. I went to an NYU event, and the professor said, "Hey, Mike, you have a good idea on a Friday." He's like, "Come back on Monday, let's have a chat over coffee." So I said, "Okay." He's like, "Mike, you have a good idea, but how about this? How about you start with helping different state governments like create a central database where they can hold patients' healthcare records and give them access to it." So through your help, I started talking to people in the state government of Rhode Island, and it looks like they want to pilot with us next year.
We've been on a journey, man. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, it's kind of longer. The thing is, like, all those movies like Facebook and stuff, they make it seem like it happens in a few days. Yeah, because you see a movie theater, 2 hours. Oh yeah, that was fast. It's not overnight.
I was telling you that from day one.
Yeah, I was listening to
Getting closer and closer.
Michael Saylor in Bitcoin. I was listening to him talk, and he actually said that people think, oh, Tesla, overnight success. No, they even found it 20 years ago. You guys in the past 5 years, you guys think it was overnight success. That's what entrepreneurship is. Yeah. Sometimes not sleeping, sleepless nights, sacrificing a lot. Even my friend Somefun knows I've sacrificed my love life for this. This is, and well, I don't get to deal with that, but anyway, let's just say I sacrificed a lot.
Yeah, how do you first step in the idea, right? So at the very beginning, like, what's your first step in coming up with your ideas?
Sure. Yeah, well, I would say that each of those entities that I mentioned, each had a very different impetus. One of them, for D-Words, content strategy practice, the grain of the idea was what I mentioned before, was actually recognizing my talent and being able to plug into it and being pleasantly surprised to find out again and again that this is something I could leverage and turn into a paying career. I got one client, then I got another, then I got another, and I was like, oh, okay, I can be more than just a freelancer. I can have a practice and grow an agency. And so that's where that came from. It's just really something from within, and being very fortunate on two counts: to have a clear talent and to recognize it, because I think everyone here has something that they're uniquely excellent at, but it doesn't always get unlocked, and so you have to keep your eyes open for that, what you're really good at. With Sonic Scoop, that was something that was much more strategic. I was the New York City editor for a magazine called Mix, and I did that for several years. And the magazine, like a lot of magazines, started out thick, and then throughout the 2000s to 2010s got smaller and smaller. And I started to recognize, I'm like, at some point, my role here is going to get cut. I'm going to, and all these relationships and connections I have with recording studios in New York City, all around the area, are not going to have value anymore. I have to do something to protect that social equity. And so that I started thinking about maybe I should start my own blog. Then I was at a Christmas party and I met another journalist there that I knew a long time, my co-founder Janice Brown. I said I'm thinking of starting my own recording blog on New York City recording. She said I was thinking the same thing. I said, well, let's do it together. So we left the party. 5 minutes later, went to a bar, started mapping it out, and that was 15 years ago. And Side Scoop is still going.
So cool, man. You know, I'm a journalist, so that's one of my entrepreneurial hats, right? So it's, I feel you when you say it gets smaller and smaller, right? You gotta fight for that market share, but you know, I love your message about talent, right? So here at AF, we say that everyone has limitless potential. Fantastic answer, thank you for that.
And I want to affirm that point about talent. I want to call it your skill set, right? Being really clear on what your skill set is the first step, because you don't want to be an entrepreneur in a space or in a project where you don't have skill, because you're not going to be able to be successful. And if you marry then your skill set with your entrepreneurial vision, that's the formula for success. And I want to illustrate through an experience that, you know, I talked about my early Harlem years, doing some small business, but I was working as an attorney, real estate attorney, with Harlem-based nonprofits, both churches and social service organizations, and they were having problems with their real estate, right? When I say real estate, I'm talking about organizations that were asset rich and had value, but cash poor. And so I understood, based on my real estate law skill set, I understood real estate and how to put some deals together. I've been doing it for other people. And then my vision to help these community-based organizations do what they really wanted to do, which was to support their mission and improve their facilities. And so I began to work with churches, and that's been my entrepreneurial activity over the last decade or so, you know, helping these organizations monetize their air rights, their development rights, so that they could create the resources that they needed in order to improve their facilities and support their mission. So I was able to marry my skill set in the real estate space with my vision to help these organizations, and we've had some success. The featured project,
A lot of success.
Bethel
Yeah,
Gospel.
a lot of success. Very awesome. So humble, Joe. Yeah, very awesome. A lot of success.
Bethel Gospel Assembly, some of you in Harlem may know the church. It's at 120th between 119th and 120th Street. They'd taken over an old school building. There was a vacant old schoolyard. They were using it as a parking lot. We were able to use this faith-based real estate development strategy to build a new building with a 2,000-seat sanctuary at the base of the building, which has become a great destination for the church as well as a tourist destination on Sundays. And it's been a spiritual and economic a bounty for that organization.
Yeah, so I think this goes perfectly to our next question. I'm going to keep the mic with you. So how do you stay motivated, and have you ever thought about giving up?
Thought about giving up quite a bit every time things do not go as planned. And listen, you have to prepare yourselves, as well as others who have this entrepreneurial desire, that things may not go as planned, or I should say things will not go as planned. And you have to be prepared. One of the principles in this book is the virtue of perseverance. And you have to be in a position with the character to keep going when things don't go well. I've had failed businesses, and one of them, what happens when a business doesn't go right? You end up losing money.
Not good. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes that.
And it can make you, to your question, it's time for me to move on. Time for me to get that 9 to 5, and time for me to, to do something else. But you have to have that determination, to keep going, to hold on to that vision. And I know for me, one of the keys to that is my faith, because I believe that I can do it, and that God has called me to do it, and sometimes there has to be a way made out of no way. But if you persevere and you keep going, you can find a way as an entrepreneur to make it. And so I would encourage the current and future entrepreneurs in this room, or if you're raising an entrepreneur, make sure that that virtue of perseverance is part of the mindset, because you're going to have to put that into play.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't think you can name a single company in the Fortune 500 that wasn't founded on perseverance and had to bring it and suffered their own setbacks many, many times. To everything excellent that Joe had to say, I would also add to that two things come into mind that will help you move your journey forward is flexibility and maybe a level of spontaneity in a way, not in the sense spontaneity is being like, hey, I feel like going to the beach, let's go to the beach. But more in terms of paying attention to what the world brings you and being able to use some leverage or momentum from things that come out of the blue that may be helpful to you. I think to time in 2019 when with my content strategy practice, I lost 2 major clients within a month of each other. And that was rough. I'm sorry, 2018. It was right around that time, though, that a friend of mine who was connected with Bitcoin Magazine called me up, and she said, I can get you in to start writing a column for Bitcoin Magazine. She was friends with the editor. I was very intimidated. I knew a little bit about cryptocurrency, like not a lot. Like I felt myself oriented with the space, but certainly not an expert. And so then all of a sudden, I'm going to write for one of the most prestigious media outlets in the space. But I also recognize what an opportunity this was, and that I had just enough to maybe be able to do this. So when I got that connection to the editor, I was very upfront with her. I told her what I just told you. I said, I'm oriented in this space. I'm very motivated to be in it. Let's give this a try. And so she said, okay. I wrote for Bitcoin Magazine for at least 2 years from there. And writing about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and blockchain opened up a lot of doors for me far beyond that space. That I wouldn't be doing what I am today, writing for a major data company without that experience. So I had some flexibility. The other thing I'll say that's really helped me along the way, and I'm very blessed to have this, is a strong family, a strong network of friends, people who I can turn to when I need advice. I can turn to my family when I need to know if I'm going in the right direction or not, and count on them for honest feedback. So wherever you can get that support, that's great. These people don't have to be your business partners. They shouldn't be your business partners. That's what helps me. Yeah.
Get the pool. That's what I always said to people. Just get the pool. It's always better when you're in the pool. It's hard to get the pool sometimes, but get the pool.
Well, because of what you did, that's why I'm here today, right? You inspired me to do what I'm doing. And I want to start with a a quick story. So when I was in Hong Kong playing rugby, we went to like UFC, wanted to do charity work. So we went to a boxing practicing thing, and then the coaches were like, okay, just stand there with their arms up and let the other guy punch you for a minute. And we're like, why are we doing this? After it happened, we were like, the coach was like, oh, because I wanted you guys to learn that no matter what you do, no matter how well you prepare, you're gonna get hit. That's okay. You have to keep going. And I think of quitting basically almost every single morning when I wake up. But by the end of the day, I figure to myself, hey, you know what? I feel fulfilled. You know, a 9-to-5 job is something that I didn't feel happy doing. And I feel happy working for myself, making money for myself. Just besides just having my startups, I also do a lot of independent contracting work, which gives me a lot of independence, which is the reason why I'm here today. I was able to, Larry was, he told me, hey, one of the panelists can't make it. And I was like, you know what? I can make it. I have free time to make my own schedule.
It was
So,
my master plan, I really wanted Michael all along.
no pressure. But anyway, definitely no, the freedom. And at the end of the day, 5 or 10 years from now, I want to be able to say, hey guys, listen, we're going to go to Japan to get some sushi. And hey guys, get on the jet. Forget it. Joe, let's go.
Let's go.
Dave, let's go. Jude, Larry, let's go.
I'm in.
Definitely.
I'm in.
All right, last question, and I'm gonna throw kind of a curveball on this one. So some resources and organizations for young entrepreneurs in the area, but also your piece of advice for young entrepreneurs, right? If you could say one thing to a young entrepreneur, what would it be?
Do you want to go first?
All right.
For beauty. All right. So I always steer people to the Freelancers Union. I think a lot of people know about it, but I believe the URL is freelancersunion.com. That's a good organization to know about because you can get health insurance through them, so that's very helpful. I was just on their homepage the other day, and there were several useful articles, very no nonsense, about some fundamental things that all small businesses need to know about. So that's a great source of information. I would plug into that. Beyond that, the resources I urge people to look for is podcasts. Anything you're interested in. I'm a podcast fanatic. There's one called Entrepreneurs on Fire, which is a good podcast. The guy is kind of extra. So
We all are.
We all are.
Yeah.
Right?
So the first one you hear, you're like, okay, he's kind of over the top. You don't have to listen to every episode, but he's pumped out thousands of them. Those are great resources. I love email newsletters, so keep your eye out for a newsletter or two. Try not to inundate yourself with newsletters. You start to be like, okay, and skip over them. But if there's a few key ones that can help you, those are things that I look for. What was the second half?
Piece of advice for a young entrepreneur, the one piece of advice you would give them.
Right. To me, it comes back to trying to plug into what you're good at. All right. A lot of times people would say, when I told them I'm a writer, they're like, oh, that's great. You do what you love. I'd be like, no, that's not it at all. That's not what it is. I'm doing what I'm good at. That's what I love. So,
Perfect.
yeah, find what you're good at, do that. You'll love doing that.
Perfect. Either one.
Joe first?
I'm a Harlem guy, as I said, and so the organizations that I know of are right here in the Harlem community. The Harlem Business Alliance. I was vice president of the organization for a few years, and they have great resources, seminars, workshops. They have online content. If you're an entrepreneur in this area, or really any place, you can still access the Harlem Business Alliance. And then there's also, I'm also, a writer, and I'm into the arts community as well. The Harlem Arts Alliance, it's called, also has some great resources. And in the real estate space, I've been active with the New York Real Estate Chamber. It's called NYREC, N-Y-R-E-C. And it really focuses on minority developers, developers of color, giving them the resources and the opportunities that they would not otherwise have in the real estate space, whatever you're doing in that space. So those are the thoughts that I have on organizations and resources. On the question of advice, the one thing I would tell a young entrepreneur, 2 words: get ready. You have to, prepare yourself. And that preparation is based on who you are and what you want to do. Some people have been successful in business without a formal education, without having gone to school, college, grad school, but because they knew what they wanted to do and they were willing to self-educate and put the work in, they attained great success. One wonderful example, this is a book, it's Making Your Own History, Timeless Truths from Black American Trailblazers, and there are 120 I call them trailblazers because they're examples of people from history, and there's some contemporary examples as well, who made a difference, and they were successful because they led, I call it virtues-driven or principle-driven lives. And I draw those principles, and I call it life lessons from the past that you can apply in the present. And the one example that really comes to mind to support what I'm saying here, his name is A.G. Gaston. He's a trailblazer of industriousness, right? I've got various categories and chapters in the book based on these virtues, and his is industriousness because he grew up in the Jim Crow South. He had a broken family, but he had a family, and this goes to your point, David, that the grandmother and the aunts and the uncles, they came around him, and he started some businesses as a teenager, and he was able to grow those businesses. He was in Alabama, right? And this was in the 1910s and 1920s. But he ended up starting a funeral home, and then some other businesses, buying some real estate, and he was later recognized because of his amazing success by Black Enterprise magazine as the top Black entrepreneur of the first half of the 20th century. Wow. And it's because he prepared himself. He got ready. He just kept working. He had that virtue of industriousness that really became the key to his success. So I would tell folks, they gotta get ready.
Beautiful, Joe. How do people get that amazing book, right? I want a copy. How does this happen?
Well, it is in bookstores, right? And so you get it in bookstores, but it's also on Amazon. And if you came prepared today, I did bring, I have a few copies if you like an autographed copy.
An autographed copy, folks, incredible. That's a deal you can't miss. Get that book. Beautiful. The salesman on top of everything else. And to Mike to close it out for doing all that great work. Amazing.
Thank you. Anyway, so there's a concept called Darius. Take this note. Incubator, startup incubator. These are programs all over the New York City area, and we have the RI incubator in Rhode Island, RI Hub specifically, where you have an idea, you call them, you tell them about your idea, you pitch them 20 seconds. If they like your idea, they'll take you in, give you free space and free mentorship as well. These mentors are people that have done it before, and they'll give you free advice for 6 months. And advice that to somebody that's young, well, get this book. No, I'm dead serious. It's like, I think it's 120 you said short stories. I'm taking a week, and no matter what race you are, some of these books are, so my parents are Dominican American, I'm not like African American in the traditional sense. My family didn't grow up in the Jim Crow South. But anybody can look to this book because what these people went through, if they can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah, right.
Second piece of advice is you're boxing. You're gonna get hit. Okay, how fast can you recoil and get back and hit them back and win? Thanks.
I think Mike's gonna get recognized as the black entrepreneur of the 21st century. I think that's gonna happen.
I'll follow your footsteps first.
There you go. Folks, big round of applause for our panel. Incredible stuff. Huge honor for you to do this. We're America's future. Thank you to our partners, Blexit, World Blockchain Capital. Get the book, great stuff. Come to more events like this. We're doing cool stuff in the city. Talk to Dana about what's coming up next. Get connected. And that's our show. Have some more drinks and hang out. Make some friends. Thanks, folks.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, brother.